Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Saturday, September 28th, 2019. Posted a message yesterday. Mark, maybe you don't know him by the name Mark, but you definitely would know his voice if you heard it. He called in pretty much every single day, usually numerous times a day, and he had a lot of information. Um, Found out yesterday that he passed last weekend, and it's a big loss because he was somebody who was very dedicated to this work, and I thought as the movement grew, he'd definitely be one of the employees. He was here in Washington State. I never got to meet him in person. I thought that day would come too. I thought there'd be a day where I got to meet Mark, and so anyway, it's really tragic, and it's hearsay what I heard, but supposedly he placed a big bet and he lost it, and it pushed him over the edge. And I wish he'd reached out. I would have been happy to help him. And again, that's also why I talk about it's good to be the tortoise. Be modest each day. Stick with the plan, and you'll stay ahead of the curve. Because sometimes, we know how it is. Sometimes there's just like a golden read. Everything lines up, and you just think, ooh, that is the game. There's no way that game's going south on me, and then it does. So, and, as much as I like Mark, there were days where he would call in and he would say, there's no way this game can go the other way. And oftentimes I'd disagree with him. I'd say, well, I don't know about that. What about this right here? And then, so he was a brilliant guy, no doubt about it. I have no doubt he had a whole bunch more IQ points than me. And, he had technical skills that I could only dream of. And, So anyway, you guys, if you're ever in the same situation, remember you got a phone number to talk. You got at least one person in the world to talk to. I'm right here, and if I don't pick up the phone, just keep calling me back. If I didn't pick up the phone, it's because I'm not next to it or I'm on the line with somebody else. But yeah, it's just it's tragic, man. So. Caller?
Hey Zach, good morning.
Good morning.
Man, yeah, that's some tough news to hear, man. The only thing I want to say to everybody that's watching the stream, if they do gamble, like my approach, I try to keep it simple, bet small, because I have lost a lot of money betting big, so like I don't know if, like you said, it's hearsay what happened, but if it's true, it can lead people to go down that path, and we got to keep it simple and not bet so much and lose so much. That's why I don't like taking the big risk of losing a bunch of money, because I have lost a lot of money when I bet big, and it is depressing, and it does take you to a point to where you get suicidal, you get depressed, and you want to hurt yourself or you want to hurt others, and so if anybody's listening and they feel that, just don't be so greedy. Take the small bets. Take the clear reads. You don't have to bet everything. And yeah, man, that sucks to hear about Mark, man.
Yeah, and I completely agree with what you're saying. So,
Yeah. But,
all right, man.
Yeah, I wanted to run something by you with a scenario that I came up with last night. I don't know if you want me to call back or if you want me to just talk about it now. But
Is it baseball related?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it has to do with the playoffs. So I was looking at all the teams that are in, and I don't know, maybe I'm reaching a little bit, but so I came up with this scenario with the Braves versus the Yankees in the World Series, and it has to do with if the Braves win the next two games, And then they win, the 8 games in the 2 series. To get to the World Series, they would have 107 wins. And then if they won 4 games in the World Series, that would put them at 111 wins. And they would beat the Yankees in the World Series. So what that leads me to believe is, like, maybe they would play the Nationals in the championship series to get that 107th win. And then the Yankees would come into the World Series with 113 wins. And then they would win only 2 games in the World Series to have 115 wins.
And then get that 4-2 tribute.
Yeah, and so here's the things that lead me to believe about the Braves. So, on April 21st, they beat Cleveland 11-5, and they started the season 11-10, like 1-1-1. And that game was Dallas Keuchel, which was like the big signing in the free agency, like in the middle of the season.
Right.
And that was on June 6th. Okay. And so Dallas Keuchel's B-Day to the World Series is 294, or a span of 295 days. A World Series champions equals 295. World Series champion equals 226. Like from that date of the April 21st to the start of the World Series is 26 weeks and 2 days, like 2 days and 26 weeks. And it also equals, World Series champion also equals 107. So like they would beat the Nationals in the championship for National League and then go into the World Series. And then New York City equals 333 in the Francis Bacon cipher. And Braves manager can get to 333 wins by winning the World Series.
Huh. So, yeah, that's very interesting.
I know it's a lot of information. It's a lot of speculation. It's me reaching out on a limb, but I think, and that would also be a rematch because they played in 1996 in the World Series, and the Yankees beat the Braves.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with Dallas Keuchel and the Braves manager, and the Braves would take down the Yankees, and that 111 wins in the World Series makes a lot of sense.
Again, we started talking about the possibility of Yankees and Braves after the death of Jim Bouton. Do you remember this?
No, I think I missed that.
He died July 10th, the 191st day of the year, and New York Yankees is 191. He wrote the book Foul Ball, Exposing Baseball, and he was blacklisted from baseball. And he came back after a decade, and he played one last stint with the Atlanta Braves. He played with the Yankees from 62 to 68. Then he played with Houston too in there. He had a short stint with Houston, then he finished his career after being gone for a decade with Atlanta. So.
That's funny that. So, 62 kind of rings a bell because from the date to the start of the World Series of that April 21st game when they beat Cleveland 11-5, it's a span of 2 days and 6 months, like 62 or 26.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, I could be reaching, I could be trying to figure this thing out here, but based on all the teams that I saw, I like the Braves versus the Yankees.
Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of Mark, the last time I talked to him, he thought it was going to be Yankees and Braves too, so.
Oh, man, really?
Uh-huh.
Well, hopefully that's what happens, man,
So. Yeah, this all these things happened around the same time. This story happened, the book of the death of this man, because we talked about it that day, July 10th, and then 3 days later, you had the New York City blackout on the 42-year anniversary of the last blackout, which was synced up, which was the year the Yankees beat the Dodgers in the World Series. So, there's some floating scenarios, but. Thinking about Mark, this is what he had picked for the World Series the last time I talked to him, Yankees and Braves. So.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'll let you get back to it.
All right. Thanks, man. Take care.
All right, bud.
All right, see you. All right, so there's a game that just started right now. I put out the notes. Wow, Orioles are up early on the Red Sox. Okay. Orioles do play well on Saturday. What was standing out to me, though, aside from how we know how the Orioles play well on Saturday, is that if the Orioles lost the next 2 games, they'd get to 53 away losses. Just kind of like how we like the Orioles to win yesterday, because yesterday by them winning, the Red Sox became 5-3 at home versus the Orioles. So the next 53 riddle on the board would be the Orioles to drop the next 2. There's still plenty of game for them to give it up. Also, if the Red Sox win today and tomorrow, they'll be 39-42 at home, and Orioles equals 39-42. So let me add that note here too. So if Orioles lose next 2, Red Sox will be 39-42 at home. Orioles equals 39-42. So they're in a hole early, but there's some pretty significant numbers there. Also, the other thing about the Red Sox is if they win the next 2, they're going to be 85-77. Boston's 85-77. Red Sox is 85-77. So, I mean, all of those riddles are pretty hard to go against, even though they're in a 2-0 hole right now. I'm not too worried about that. Okay. So we got an hour till the start of the next game. And what I want to do real quick is just go back and review yesterday, because we have this one early game and then everything starts in about an hour. So we'll do baseball. And hopefully you guys used that college football information I put out yesterday. It was pretty good. Okay, let's go to yesterday's games. Okay, so the Nationals beat the Indians. I posted a video yesterday. I did more research after the Decode just to see how synced it up was. In case you didn't hear anything about Indians Nationals yesterday, we pointed out how the Nationals manager, it was his 322nd game, and by winning, he would stay on 149 losses. 322 is the number of skull and bones. When you write out skull and bones, it equals 149. So it would make sense for him to stay on 149 losses in his 322nd game, which he did. And then I said, well, one of the stories with skull and bones is that they stole the skull of Geronimo. Prescott Bush supposedly did, the father of George H.W. Bush. So after we were done with the Decode, I went and looked at the death of Geronimo, and I saw that from Geronimo's death date, he happened to have died on the 48th day of the year, and the Nationals picked up their 48th home win on the 48 date numerology, plus Cleveland equals 48. Think about it, Cleveland Indians, Geronimo. But from the death of Geronimo to yesterday's game was a span of 223 days, which was the 48th prime number. So, I mean, this looked about as close to a lock as anything will ever be. Caller?
Hey, Zach.
Hello?
Hey, Zach, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hey, do you think you've had anything to do with this guy's death? Do you feel any responsibility at all?
Well, you know, I can't take responsibility for his death. I mean, but I do feel like maybe I could have done more. So I know I see you're calling from a.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, I could have been more. I should have let him know just how great I thought he was. I wish I would have told him that before.
Do you think that would have saved him, or do you think these sports picks literally killed him because he was losing so much money?
So I know who you are. I know you're the troll that was going crazy in the comments. I recognize your voice.
What does it matter, bro? It's the truth. You contributed to this guy's death.
No. You're actually a really.
Yeah, you literally did.
Okay.
You literally contributed to the.
I'm gonna hang up on him. That's if you guys ever wonder who Daily Sports Picks is, that's him right here. There, the deranged individual. But no, we're helping a lot of people win every single day, and we put out winning information almost every single day. And Mark was actually doing well too, and he just made a mistake. So. And for the troll who just called in, if you want to have a following, you need to build your following, not troll on my page all day. The reason people support here is because I put out work for 6 years that's helped people benefit for 6 years. So, okay. Anyway, So the Nationals and Indians riddle was a deep, dark riddle yesterday, and another sick, twisted riddle, a lot like the 3 Native American symbolic teams getting knocked off on Christopher Columbus Day last year. So, okay, so that was that game. The Reds and the Pirates. The Pirates had the edge yesterday. It was about Brault becoming 4-6 at home, Reds 46 and improving to 5-0, Pittsburgh 50. So we were leaning Pirates on that one. Talked about how the Reds might just win 1 out of 3 to finish 1-9 against the Pirates playing in Pittsburgh this year, because Reds is 19, it's 2019. Caller?
Hey, good morning, Zach.
What's up, man?
I just want to start out by saying rest in peace, Mark. Definitely going to be missed. Was a contributor to the community. Definitely liked hearing his different opinion on certain things, and yeah, he'll definitely be missed. And even though I didn't know him, Zach, I know you probably felt a definite connection with him, just like so many people who talk to you on a daily basis.
Right, exactly.
But for the troll who just called in, everything that's going on, there's a machine of money that's put into this whole business of sports betting. You know what I mean? It is an addiction, but at the same time, what Zach is doing is helping people with that problem. You know, a lot of people just sports bet just to sports bet. They lose money on the daily. Zach provides the opportunity to come up on the other side of that coin. I know I appreciate you, Zach. I feel like I've never met you, but I feel like you're a friend of mine. And also, for that Washington game, you were 100% correct on that one. Just for another 3-2 riddle. Washington took the lead in I think it was the bottom of the first or bottom of the second. Okay, and they made them tie it up in the top of the third, so they could stay tied for that whole third inning. That 3-2 again.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So once I saw that, I was like, okay, that's pretty obvious. But yeah, again about Mark, I just stay positive. I won't start today positive. Definitely was a pretty good guy from just the interactions I've heard on the channel, and I want to say sorry for your loss.
Well, we all lost. I mean, we all lost. So yeah, it's a big loss.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Zach, try to have a better day.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Right.
Okay, so the Pirates had a slightly better riddle yesterday. They got it done. The Phillies and Marlins looked dangerous to me. Ended up being a close game. Phillies took it by a run. Stayed away from that one. We did point out if the Marlins lost 3 games, they would get to 106 losses, which is possible because Philadelphia Phillies is 106. I know one of our callers, I'm sure, would love that because he loves when the 106 lands on Sunday. That's the way it would be. The Rays and the Blue Jays. Again, Rays looked good yesterday. We were talking about how if they won yesterday and today, they'd end up picking up that 49th away win on the 49 date numerology. Blue Jays 49, so we'll look at that some more. Braves and Mets, I was leaning the wrong way on this game. I was thinking the Braves would pick up that 48th away win on the 48th date, and I liked it on the other side. Stroman could get his 48th career loss. Atlanta also equals 48. Wasn't so. Orioles and Red Sox, I had somebody call me, are you sure I should bet on the Orioles? I said, well, I like that 5-3 riddle, man. It's up to you. But Red Sox did fall to 5-3 at home versus the Orioles yesterday. Boston Red Sox 53. You get a 4-1 score. Baltimore 41. The Tigers and White Sox games didn't happen. We weren't crazy about those games anyway. Through the head-to-head record, you could make an argument either way. I ended up choosing the wrong side of it. I thought it would make a little bit more sense if the Cardinals put it down. You had the date numerology going both ways. You had the head-to-head record going both ways. So again, games like this, you know, that aren't one-way streets. They're always more dangerous. Cubs did take it here. We saw that Hudson could get his 9th career loss against the Cubs. Let me see if he did get that. He didn't get credited with it. Looks like Cubs put up all their runs late. So, the Yankees and Rangers, we had it pegged right from the Yankees early in the week, then picking up their 103rd win on the 27th of the month, 103 the 27th prime. We talked about how New York Yankees and Society of Jesus have the overlap. That's also one of the things creeping me out about Mark's passing is that we found out the news yesterday, and I'm just like, why are we finding it out on the Jesuit day? But notice the score of this game. The Yankees won 14-7. Those are World Series numbers. World Series won 47. So, and again, on the Society of Jesus Day, the Jesuits have a lot of influence in sports. The Brewers and the Rockies, I said I'd stay away from this one yesterday and wait to see what happened because there was a scenario set up where one team might very well win 3 in a row. Since the Rockies took the first game, that could be the path. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach? It's me, Joey.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm sorry about your loss, man, and that this happened. I just wanted to give my condolences and to the Truth community about that. Really bad about that. He's a good guy.
He was, thank you.
And, yes, I want to try to help out with Mark's little decision with the Braves, since I heard you say that he was liking the Braves. So I want to share some numbers that could actually help you determine the championship. If you could do me a favor and go to mcube.com and check out the sports, and if you look at the ultimate matchups between the Braves and the Yankees, you'll notice that the Braves have 22 wins and 36 losses. So if the series goes 4-3 and the Braves win, they'll have 26 wins, and the Yankees equals 26.
Right.
And then if they get the 3 losses, 39 for New York.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then I also want to point out, too, there's only 2 games left. So I'm thinking the Braves are going to split so you can get the 98 wins, and champions equals 98.
Okay.
And then also too, I'm thinking the Yankees are going to win the last 2 games to give them 105 so they can get that Mastery number, and stay on that 57 losses so they can get the that championship number 57 connected to the 131. Well, if it ends up being like I'm saying, like the Yankees go against the Braves and do a 7-game series, they would have to win 10 games because it's going to go 3 for the first game, right? You have to win the best of 5, right? Correct?
Right.
And then you're going to go 4. They'll win 4, winning the AL, and then in the World Series, they'll win 3, making it 7, losing to the Braves. Well, that will give them 10 wins. So they'll have, I think Aaron Boone will have 200 and... Is it 200? I got to... Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I messed up on... I had the page and I lost it. Hold on one second. If you go to Pro Baseball Reference and check out Aaron Boone's record, he's going to have his all-time wins. If he adds those 10 with those 2, it equals Atlanta Braves.
Huh. Yeah,
it's 215. If you check it, if you double check for me on the Gematria, see if 215 equals Atlanta Braves.
All right, here, I got it right here. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, in the reverse ordinal, it's 215.
Yes, so I'm thinking the Yankees are going to win the next 2 games, then go all the way up to the championship against the Braves and lose in a 7-game series. And the reason why also is because if you look up Aaron Boone's birthday to the last game, which is, 10/30? Yeah, October 30th. It's 131 days from his birthday. So that's a championship number.
Right.
So he's probably going to lose in the championship that day to the Braves to make it a 7-game series. So I figured I'd help out, and I feel bad about this thing, and I want Mark to be right on this.
Yeah, indeed. Well, great research, friend. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right, good luck, and God bless, right?
All right, take care, friend. Thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Okay. Okay, so the Rockies did beat the Brewers yesterday. The Twins looked good to beat the Royals. Berrios, the pitcher for the Twins, had a really strong riddle. He had about as many things line up as you can for a pitcher. So the Twins look pretty golden. We like the Diamondbacks for the sake that if they won the next 2 games, they'd get to 6-3 versus the Padres, which would be a symbolic number because Padres is 36-63. Also saw Clark had a chance to become 4-2 in the second half. Those numbers that hit a lot with Arizona. Arizona 42, Diamondbacks 42. Astros and Angels, game I wasn't real crazy about yesterday. Astros did pick up the 105th win, so increasing their lead for most victories in the AL. And have to watch what loss total they finish on. The Yankees are on 57 losses right now, World Series number. Remember, before the All-Star break, the Yankees and the Astros were the only 2 teams in the AL with 57 wins. I need to go back and revisit. I believe it was the Dodgers were the only team with 57 wins in the NL. At the All-Star break, there were 3 teams, 2 in the AL, 1 in the NL. And then the A's and the Mariners, I held off on this game last night. The Seattle 107 riddle was there, but the fears thing was giving me too much trouble with the 15-5, and I was saying if the A's only win 97 games this year, to be very symbolic, then they might not win it yesterday because they still got 2 games left to play. The Dodgers, the Riddle Busters, beat the Giants on Orange Friday. Another game I wasn't real crazy about. But the games that we liked, we did well on yesterday. And for college football, I put out the information yesterday. Somebody called in and asked if we could do some college football for Friday night. So I put out these notes. They were posted on the Patreon page. Saw with Duke and Virginia Tech some nice things lined up. The Duke coach had a chance to improve to 70-73. The game was in Lane Stadium, which equals 70. He got his 70th win there. He stayed on 73 losses. Virginia Tech 73. He improved to Duke improved to 3-1 for the season. Hokies is 31. And then the Virginia Tech coach, he had a chance to stay on 53 wins or 39 losses. Duke Blue Devils was 53, Blue Devils 39. We saw that he could stay on 27 wins with Virginia Tech, on the 27th of the month. And it also made sense for VT to become 2-2 versus Duke because Duke's 22. So things looked a bit better for Duke there. They ended up winning in a big way. And then in the Maryland game, the Penn State coach could get his 33rd overall loss. They lost in a big blowout. Penn State equals 33, so perfect team to get the 33rd loss against. San Jose State and Air Force. It made sense for Air Force to become 3-0 at home on the 30-date numerology. And also the San Jose State coach got his 24th loss. Air Force Falcons is 89, the 24th prime. And just looking down the schedule, it made sense if Air Force won its next 3 games, including last night. So now the next 2, because they'd end up picking up their 92nd win over the Fresno State Bulldogs. So that was there. And then the Arizona State and Cal game, I gave you 2 scenarios on both sides, which means it's tight. Hold on, we got a caller here. Caller?
Hey, Zach, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Oh, man, still dealing with the news. Rest in peace, Mark. I was calling about that Braves and Yankee World Series possibility. You put out a couple videos, and one was I think it was Bruce whatever.
It was the death of the Supreme Court Justice sync with Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge. Okay. Now you put out another video before those 2 stories hit the news, and it was about David Justice.
Ah, yeah, that's a good point.
And because you did touch on it linking the baseball like you did Aaron Judge, and I'm guessing because it hit before, but I'm sure if you go back and look at that story, you'll find something that could possibly connect to that riddle of.
I'm gonna go back and find that. You're right. Yeah, I forgot about that one. That's a great point. For people who don't know, David Justice used to play for the Atlanta Braves, big star for the Braves back in the 90s.
Yeah. So, yeah, check that out.
That's a really great point. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Dave. And
Okay.
appreciate it, man.
Okay, no problem.
All right, take care. Okay, but this Arizona State Cal game, it was conflicting. The ASU coach, he was 10-7. Sun Devils equals 118. And so I was thinking, okay, if they split their next two, they'll be 11-8. That would make some sense. They play the Washington State Cougars next week, which equals 117. And if I'm not mistaken, ASU did win the game last night. But they improved to, or the coach, Herm Edwards, improved to 11-7. So that had some rhyme and reason to it. ASU's 3-1. ASU equals 41. They won 24-17 last night, 41 points to improve to 4-1. So that made sense. But then I looked at the Cal scenario and I thought, Arizona State's also 59 the 17th prime. They could get that 17th win. Cal is 4-0. They could fall to 4-1 versus ASU. That made some sense. That's what they did do. 41 points. But I also saw that Cal played at Oregon next, and you would think that they would lose that game, right? Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll surprise Oregon, Cal. But Oregon Ducks is 51, so I was like, man, what if they won tonight? Then they could lose in Oregon and fall to 5-1 to the Oregon Ducks. So, but now that they're 4-1, maybe they surprise the Ducks. So we'll think about that next weekend. I suppose if you look at this, there's more that probably did line up for ASU than Cal last night. But there was this one scenario which is worth thinking about. But, you know, the trolls were all over this post. Where's the picks? No picks. This is worthless. But, I mean, I hope people don't feel that way when they read over this. I feel like it's pretty clear and easy to look at what's being communicated here. So, you know, Duke looked like a winner. Penn State looked like a winner. Air Force looked like a winner. This game, a little bit more dicey. So, what I'm planning on doing as soon as the baseball season wraps up, which will be this Sunday, is really pounding out all the scenarios for what we're looking at for a World Series. So it's been definitely a tricky year. So that said, let's jump into today's baseball games. Oh, look at that! The Red Sox are back in front of the Orioles. What do you know? Give me 1 second, you guys. Just 1 second break. Going to be back. We'll move through baseball. I just need to do something. 1 minute. Okie dokie. All right. Sorry about that. So let's motor through today's games. I'm gonna put the phone on pause. We're gonna go through the games as quickly as possible. I have all the notes written out, so it shouldn't take too long. And then we'll open the phone back up. Once we're done with this live stream, we'll take a little break, and then we'll come back and do the NFL live stream. So today's date numerology. Here, let me zoom this in a couple more times. Okay, today's date numerology, primary methods, 31, 49, 76. Of course, all those numbers break down to 4. Always think about that, the key digit they break down to. And you want to do that with the full path, not the abbreviated paths, because they don't have all the numbers. So, 4 could be a symbolic number on the day. The lesser date numerology is 56, the day plus the month's 37. It is the 271st day of the year, which is the 58th prime. We just saw that relationship Thursday Night Football. The game was 271 days from Carson Wentz's birthday, and I believe Rodgers got his 58th regular season loss. Okay, so Again, this Orioles at Red Sox game, to me, the strongest riddle on the board is the Orioles dropping today and tomorrow. Ooh, they tied it back up. Look at that. It's a shootout. But if the Orioles lose the next two, they will get to 53 away losses. And Boston Red Sox 53. The Red Sox win the next two, they'll be 85 and 77. Boston's 85, 77. Red Sox is 85 and 77. Plus the Red Sox would be 39 and 42 at home, and Orioles equals 39 and 42. So Orioles would finish their season on 53 wins as well. About the only scenario I could say for the Orioles is if they won 2 in a row. If the Orioles won the next two, they'd get to 55 wins. Boston, Massachusetts is 55, but compared with all the things that line up if the Red Sox win the next two, I prefer the Red Sox narrative. The Twins and the Royals. So, today's date numerology says the Royals could stay on 49 home losses. The Twins could stay on 49 wins versus the AL Central. The Royals could pick up their 31st home win. And the Royals can pick up the 31st win in the AL Central. So actually quite a few things lining up for the Royals in terms of the date numerology. I would assume the Royals would win at least one more this year to get to 59 wins because Kansas City Royals is 59. So that has some rhyme and reason to it. If Royals win one more, they have 59 wins. Kansas City Royals equals 59. Okay. If Sparkman did win today, he would be 5 and 11 for the season. Saturn is 5-11 in Jewish Gematria. There was a weekend more than a month back where it was interesting how many 5-11 possibilities there were that day, and they all came through that day. And there was one maybe 2 or 3 weekends ago that had a possibility that didn't hit, but Saturn is 5-11 in Jewish Gematria. Saturday is named after Saturn. I think the Royals, I mean, the date numerology is very good for them. I think they got a shot today. So the Royals' next win versus the Twins is also 212. Kansas City Royals equals 212. So do they get it today or tomorrow? But today the date numerology is really there for the Royals. If Sparkman did win, he'd be 3-8 in the second half. Minnesota's 38 as well. So the thing that would go against Sparkman is he's 1-3 versus Minnesota. If he lost, he'd be 1-4. We know KC's 14. All right, let's keep looking though, in case the Royals aren't a team you like to mess with. The Rays and the Blue Jays. If the Rays win today, they'd get their 49th away win on the 49 date numerology, and Blue Jays equals 49. The Rays would also stay on 31 away losses on the 31 date. The one thing that could go against the Rays is they could get their 31st loss versus the AL East today. The Blue Jays, if they didn't win, they'd also stay on 31 wins versus the AL East. So, talked about the Rays winning yesterday and today to set up this 49 scenario. The Blue Jays could get their 93rd loss at home all time against the Rays. Saturn equals 93. Again, it's Saturday. The Blue Jays' next loss, for the person calling in right now, again, I'm going to go through the games and take the calls. So please be patient. Get through it as quick as possible. The Blue Jays' next loss is 2-1-2 as well. Toronto Blue Jays and Kansas City Royals both equal 2-1-2. And the year that the Mets were in the World Series, that was the ALCS. Toronto and Kansas City. Kansas City won. It was all about New York that year. 212 is the New York area code. So, if the Blue Jays split the next two, they will be 3-6 versus the Rays at home. So that's very possible that they split the next two. I would think the Rays would get the win, though, today. Yarbrough, who's on the mound for the Rays, could get his 28th career win on the 28th of the month. He's 2-0 at Toronto. There is something to consider with Trent Thornton. If he won, he would be 3-6 at home. And again, Toronto is 36. Rays is 63, the reflection. So I wish that wasn't there. That's just the one thing that's giving me a little bit of, He's 2-3 in the second half. Tampa Bay equals 137, the 33rd prime. So I still think that head-to-head record and the date numerology is the strongest riddle there, though. The Tigers and the White Sox. Not crazy about this one because you can make an argument either way through the head-to-head. If Boyd did lose today, the Tigers pitcher, he'd fall to 4-6 versus the White Sox. We know that's a big number with Chicago. Chicago 46. Lopez, I guess I could, if he got his 10th win today, 10 does equal 39. Tigers equals 39. White Sox equals 39. He's on 31 career losses. You got the 31 date numerology. He's 2-4 versus the Tigers. So, yeah, this one's a little bit dicey, but 46 is a big number in Chicago, so that's kind of the standout stat for me. One other thing I was sleeping on is Chicago equals 37, the 12th prime. And, of course, Detroit equals 37 as well in the same cipher. If Boyd did lose, he'd also get his 12th loss of the season, so it'd be some Chicago numbers going against him. That's game one of the doubleheader. Plutko versus Corbin, Indians at Nationals. I got to assume the Nationals win at least one more home game because Washington's 49 in the most pure cipher. If they win two more, they'll get to 50 wins. Washington's also 50. Today has the 49 date numerology, so a great day for Washington to get the 49th win. The date numerology says the Nationals could stay on 31 home losses today. They could pick up the 49th home win, so double whammy in their favor. And tomorrow we'll have the 50 date numerology if they did end up winning them both. Let's see. Plutko, if he lost today, he'd be 4-6 in the second half. Or, excuse me, he'd be 4-7 in the second half. DC's 47. I didn't see really a lot jumping out with his numbers. Corbin could get his 15th win of the season. Indians equals 47, the 15th prime. He could get his 34th win in the second half. Indians is 34. I guess there's also the 31 date numerology. But ultimately, I like the Nationals here because of the 49 thing. The 49th win on the 49 date numerology in Washington, 49. That seems symbolic. Game starts at 1:05. Nationals 1:05. I'll make a note about that too. But again, I pointed that out with the Houston game yesterday. Typically, when a game time starts at a time that's specific to the team, this 1:05 is a little bit weaker because games do start at 1:05, but the Houston game yesterday started at 7:07 Pacific local, and Houston equals 77, and they went on to win the game. I know we talked about that yesterday, so just want to remind about that. And you'll notice in the playoffs, they do that a lot each year. Year after year, they have these weird start times that usually sync up with one of the team names, and it's usually that team that wins the game. The Dodgers at the Giants. The Dodgers can stay on 56 losses. Today has the lesser date numerology of 56. The Giants are 7-10 versus the Dodgers, and Dodgers is 117, by the way. So if the Dodgers won, they'd be 11-7 versus the Giants. That would make some sense. The Giants are 3-4 at home, so if they lost, they'd be 3-5, or Los Angeles would become 5-3. So, two things in the head-to-head record that look good for the Dodgers there. Ryu is 6-6 versus the Giants. If he won, he'd be 7-6. San Francisco is 76. So, based on that head-to-head record, Riddle, and I should have thought about that one more yesterday. I should have thought about that more. Well, the problem was that yesterday, I guess it could have gone either way. So. The Marlins at the Phillies. The Marlins, if they lost, would stay on 56 wins. And remember that there's that possibility that we talked about yesterday. If the Marlins got swept in this series, they would reach 106 losses. Let me write it down again. If Marlins get swept, they will get to 106 losses. Philadelphia Phillies equals 106. So if the Phillies won today, they'd be 9-9 versus the Marlins. Miami does have that 99 connection. Okay, I'm going to break the rule for one person because they keep calling, so I assume it's urgent. Caller?
Hey, Zach, I didn't want to interrupt, but it's only because the game starts really soon. So Sparkman, the pitcher for Kansas City,
right.
His birthday is May 11th.
5'11", and he can get to 5'11". Nice.
Yes, and also Kauffman Stadium equals 61. Minnesota can pick up their 61st loss. And one more thing. I don't know Kansas City, Missouri's time zone, but the game was moved from 6:15 p.m. start time to 1:15 local time.
Huh. That's interesting.
So there's another 5 and 11. I just wanted to tell you that before the game started.
Yeah, great points. All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
All right, it's like I do want to take your calls, but I just realized at least I do better putting out information when I'm not distracted with calls, but that was a great point, and I know he's a good caller, and he kept calling for a reason, so I was like, okay, he must really want to get something out there. Okay, so he's saying Sparkman, if he improves to 5'11", his birthday is May 11th. And here, let's just put it on the screen for all to see. Yep, May 11th birthday, so. And, here, let me just go back and plug that in the notes here. Okay. All right, so where were we? We were on the Marlins and Phillies game. All right, so if the Phillies did win, they would even it up at 9-9 versus the Marlins. Miami's 99 in the English extended cipher. Whoops, this is a typo. That should say versus Marlins. The Phillies are 4-4 versus the Marlins at home. Phillies does equal 45 in both reduction ciphers. So does Miami. But from either team's perspective, the Marlins are also 4-4 at Philly. So either team could fall to 4-5. So I didn't even put the note about Miami and Phillies 45. Because it can just go either way, so it's a wash. If Caleb Smith lost today, he'd be 6-8 in the second half. Miami Marlins is 68. Actually, I see another one that I should have talked about. Philadelphia equals 61, the 18th prime. He could get his 18th career loss as well against Philadelphia. Eflin has something that's concerning. He could get his 32nd career loss because Marlins is 32. We have the 31 date numerology as well. So I don't like that he can get his 32nd career loss. That's the one red flag going against the Phillies. I'll remind you yesterday that the Phillies seemed to have a little bit better narrative, but they also their pitcher had a red flag as well. Phillies ended up winning. So the other thing, I started writing, it's supposed to say Eflin, not Smith. Okay. All right. So, yeah, the thing to think about is, and again, if you just want to be patient, if the Marlins lose today, I would assume they're going to pick up that 106 tomorrow. Philadelphia Phillies 106. Big number for them. Big number for Philadelphia, period. Okay, the Reds and the Pirates. The Reds could stay on 31 wins versus the NL Central today. If they didn't win, they'd stay parked on that. The Pirates' next win is 70. Cincinnati Reds is 70 in the most pure cipher. But there's a few other things to consider here. If Reds won the next two, they would have 34 away wins. Pirates does equal 34. Pirates would have 46 home losses as well, and Reds equals 46. So There's a scenario there that the Reds could win too. But again, the team full name, Gematria, usually trumps just like part of the name. Cincinnati Reds is 70 in the most pure cipher, so I'm thinking the Pirates here, Reds equals 19. But let me play devil's advocate. If you use the rule for S, Reds is also 28. Some of you might remember at the beginning of the season, the Reds were 1-8. And I still remember that I was wrong because I was like, okay, Reds equals 19 in the most pure cipher. It does also equal 28, but it's the 2019 season. Doesn't starting 1-9 just seem right? And then they started 2-8. So I was like, ugh, come on. But, so anyway, there's a couple scenarios there, so there's probably safer games today. The guy the Pirates have on the mound's kind of a bum, James Marvel. He's still looking for that first career win. He's 0-3 for the season, 0-1 at home. So I'd probably stick to some of the stronger riddles today before I went with that one. Tigers and White Sox, Game 2 of the doubleheader. Let me scroll back up to what it is again for Game 1. What's going to happen? Oops, where did our notes? There's actually a number of scenarios to ponder. That's not going to be easy. Okay, so just looking at the pitchers for this second game, what stands out to me about Nova is if he won, he'd be 12-12, right? 12-12. Detroit 37, Chicago 37. 37 is the 12th prime number. So there's something symbolic to that. Now, if he lost, he would get his 33rd loss at home, and Tigers is 33. He'd also get his 39th loss in the second half. Tigers is 39. But if he won, he'd be 3-3 versus the Tigers. So, I mean, his season record would really make a lot of sense with a win. 12-12 connects to both teams. Being 3-3 against the Tigers makes sense. It's just some of these other things. The second half and the home record. I could fade the second half, but those home records are pretty reliable. So he'd stay on 46 wins at home. So, probably a little bit dangerous here too. Again, there's good enough games today that you don't have to be greedy with all these. The Braves and the Mets. Fulte Newix with a win would be 9-5. That jumps out right away because Braves is 95. Hold on, let me check something real quick. Okay. It wasn't there. Well, hold on. Let me check one more thing. Yeah, the game's not in SunTrust Park. Okay. So the one thing that really jumps out about the Braves pitcher is with the win, he's 9-5. If the Braves split these last two games, they're going to be 48-33 in New York. Atlanta's 48, down on the 33rd parallel. New York's 48-33. So that could make some good sense. What stood out about Mott's is if he lost today, he'd get his 37th career loss. Atlanta Braves is 37. So through the pitchers, I got to favor the Braves here. Fulte Newix makes sense with the win. Mott's makes sense with the loss. Hard to determine through the head-to-head record what the riddle would be for the two teams. So, but the pitchers say Braves. All right, Cubs and Cardinals. The date numerology. Cardinals could pick up the 31st home loss today. And the Cardinals could stay on 49 home wins as well. Maybe the Cardinals are just going to win one game in this remaining series to get to 91 wins. Chicago Cubs is 91. Cardinals' next win is 91. Chicago Cubs equals 91. So the Cardinals are 9-8 versus the Cubs this year. If they lost, they'd be 9-9. We know Cubs is 9. The Cardinals are 5-2 at home. If they lost, Chicago would become 3-5 in St. Louis. Chicago 35. So the date numerology goes against the Cardinals. The head-to-head record makes more sense with a Cubs win today. Looking at Hamels, I don't see anything that... here, let me double check. But I didn't see anything the first time I looked. Let's see. I guess he could stay on 63 away losses. That's a thought. Cardinals is 63. Cubs is 63. Actually, I missed something there. St. Louis is 74. I know that. St. Louis has that 74 connection as well. So there's a couple things that are favorable to Hamels. And then with Wainwright, he's on 9 losses for the season coming in against the Cubs. Cubs is 9. He could stay on 46 career losses at home as well. Chicago's 46. I guess something else to consider, though, is he could pick up 47. St. Louis is 47, so his next loss is symbolic. And... yeah, so anyway, the primary things in this game are the date numerology goes against the Cardinals. And the head-to-head record seems to make more sense with the Chicago win today. So I guess Chicago's playing for pride. And make sure I'm not missing anything else. The Cubs are on 47 away losses. St. Louis is 47. But if the Cardinals won tomorrow would have 50 date numerology, right? They could get that 50th win, get that 91st win of the season. Chicago Cubs 91. So I see some rhyme and reason to that. So I got to lean Cubs on that one. Cardinals are, I believe, playing for their playoff positioning, but numbers still look a little bit better for the Cubbies there. The Yankees and the Rangers, if the Yankees don't lose any more games, that'll be a good sign. We've liked the Yankees to be in the World Series since early in the season because of the riddles they've gotten. We said the only threat to them this year is the Astros, and they are definitely a threat. So I'm watching to see, do the Yankees finish on 57 losses, the World Series number? If the Rangers lose today, they'll stay on 76 wins. They'd pick up their 37th loss. We know Yankees is 37. They're not going to be able to get to 39, though. So let me make this point here. If Yankees don't lose any more games, they will stay on 57 losses. World Series, 57. Rangers' next win in the series is 277, the 59th prime. That doesn't connect with today's date. The Rangers are 1-3 versus the Yankees this year. They'd have to win the next two to get to the symbolic number of 3-3. New York's 33. If they finished 1-5, that could make sense. They play in Arlington. Arlington's 47, the 15th prime. But I'm just really watching to see if the Yankees stay on those 57 losses to go in the postseason. Just like how at the end of the NBA season we had the Warriors pegged to finish with the 57 wins because that's the NBA Finals number. It's always a number connected to championships. Just to review this past year, we saw the St. Louis Blues beat the Bruins in the Stanley Cup on a 57-date numerology, getting their 57th win against the Bruins. Remember how tight that scenario was? And 57 is that championship number again and again. So Warriors ended up being in the finals. Of course, they lost, but 57 is usually a sign that you're going to be in the big game. And the Yankees did pick up that 57th win this year on July 5th, 5-7. And then the Phillies had the symbolic game over the Mets. That was one of the clues along the way that we thought was good for the Phillies. So I'm leaning towards the Yankees not losing any more games. That's what I'm thinking here. All right, the Padres and the Diamondbacks. San Diego could stay on 31 wins versus the NL West, and then that would factor into what we talked about yesterday, the Diamondbacks winning 2 in a row to get to 6-3 versus the Padres, because Padres is 63-36. The Padres would be 3-6 at Arizona. D-backs would be 6-3 at home versus the Padres. So to me, that's still the winning stat, sticking with the same thought as yesterday. I didn't like what I saw with Robbie Ray, though. Robbie Ray gave me a little bit of pause. He's 47-46 for his career. San Diego does have that 47 connection. He's 23-21 at home. San Diego Padres does equal 79, the 22nd prime if he got his 22nd home loss. Ray's 22-21 in the second half. He could become 22-22. But San Diego Padres is also 83, the 23rd prime. So one thing that's nice for Ray is he's 5-5 versus the Padres, and if he did win, he'd become 6-5. So I'm still leaning towards the Diamondbacks. I wish Ray had better numbers. I'd upgrade this pick to a really great pick, but right now it's a little bit dicey. But I am still leaning Diamondbacks because of the head-to-head record. So that's the thoughts for that one. If you want to get abstract with Richards, his next loss is 40. When you write out 40 with the alphabetic order, it's 84 like Arizona. So you could also say his next win is 46 and Phoenix equals 46. There's not really any great indicators in Garrett Richards' record. Okay, and then the Brewers and Rockies. Because the Rockies won yesterday, it now set up the possibility that they could become 43-38 at home, because again, Colorado's 43-38. And if the Brewers lose the next two, they will be 89-73 at home. Colorado Rockies equals 89-73. So the Brewers are in the playoffs. They're going to play in that wild card game. They'd like to go in strong, but right now the numbers are suggesting that the Rockies could win today and tomorrow. So it makes me not want to mess with it. I mean, the numbers are there for the Rockies to win, but I'm just thinking, but aren't the Brewers going to have a little postseason push? I mean, they've been playing well, and then are they really going to slump their way into the playoffs against the Rockies? So let me just put this note again. If Brewers lose today and tomorrow, they will be 89-73. Colorado Rockies equals 89-73. If Rockies win next two, they will be 43-38 at home. Colorado equals 43-38. So yeah, there is a riddle there for the Rockies. I mean, it's right there in your face, but I'm just thinking, do the Brewers do it anyway because just for the playoff narrative? We got two Gonzalez's facing each other, and the Gonzalez on the mound for the Rockies, if he did lose, he would be 3-7 at home. Milwaukee's 37 in the most pure cipher. If you use the rule for K, the master numerology of K, the 11th letter is 46. And with regards to 46, Rockies has that 46 connection too. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't mess with that one, even though it looks a little bit better for the Rockies, just because part of me is doubting that the Brewers really are going to get swept going into the playoffs by the Rockies. I'm struggling with that. Astros and Angels, Justin Verlander with another monster line. He gets on the mound and you just get these crazy lines. The Angels today, if they upset the Astros, they would get their 31st win in the AL West. Houston equals 31. And the Astros could also pick up their 56th loss on the lesser date numerology of 56. Keep in mind that tomorrow we'll have lesser date numerology of 57 if the Yankees stay on that 57. So it'd be something if the Astros ended up losing the next two games and did get to 57 losses with their two best pitchers. I'd rather see the Astros win one of these games and not go in with the 57, because that'll give me more confidence in what we've been saying about the Yankees all year. Let's see. Verlander, he's 41-15 with Houston. We know LA is 41. If he got his 16th loss, Los Angeles 53, the 16th prime, it's possible. His in the second half, he's 105-57, which looks a lot like his team's record for the year. If he lost, he would get his 58th loss in the second half. Angels is 58, so it's possible. However, I noticed this was his 29th game against the Angels. It's going to be his 29th game. He's 14-10. 29 is the 10th prime, so does he stay on 10 losses versus the Angels? With my good group of games today that I do like, I might put together that extra parlay card, put those games together, and stick the Angels in there and bet $1 on it. Try to turn $1 into, whatever that would turn into, quite a few dollars. So you could consider that, but date numerology is the best thing going for the Angels. Major underdogs. And remember, Verlander and Chris Sale have been the pitchers this year that have given up lines like this. Nobody else has. Chris Sale and Verlander. Okay, the A's and the Mariners. 2 games left. I am suspecting the Athletics will finish on those 97 wins because, again, Athletics is 97, Mariners is 97, Oakland Athletics is 97. They played the first game of the season. The score was 9-7. 4 at home, and Seattle's 44. So that's the riddle that stands out in the head-to-head. Anderson, who's on the mound for the Athletics with a win today, he'd be 13-9. Seattle, Washington's 139. 139 is the 34th prime. Athletics is 34. And just for the person who might punch in Seattle, Washington and go, wait a minute, I don't see 139. Let me show you. So in our base ciphers, it's not there, right? But if you use the numerology rule for the reverse cipher, Seattle, Washington's 139. So earlier this year, there was a huge 139 ritual with the Anaheim Angels, which have the 139 connection, and the Mariners. So anyway, Brett Anderson can get to 13-9 in Seattle, Washington. It is the 34th prime. Athletics is 34. Anderson's 58-61 for his career. Could get a symbolic win to end the season. Oakland Athletics equals 277, the 59th prime. And actually, does the Mariners ballpark have that 59 connection? T-Mobile Park. If you use the rule for the master numerology at K, it is 59 as well. So let me plug that in here. T-Mobile Park, 59. Anderson could stay on 31 career losses on the 31 date numerology. And he could also get his 31st win in the second half. He could improve to 11-5 versus the Mariners. 11's the 5th prime. He could fall to 10-6. Oakland, California's 106, but the game's in Seattle. So I'm not too concerned about that. I just documented it just as a reminder. But yeah, Seattle falling to 4-4 at home. I think that's probably the strongest riddle. Marco Gonzalez, he could stay. His career record could become 34-25. Remember, Athletics is 34, and then Athletics is also 97, the 25th prime. So if he lost, his record would be very much in tribute to the Athletics. And he's 4-2 versus the A's. Mariners is 43. Athletics is 43. Mariners does have the 52 connection as well, but the 43 is where they overlap. It's the Mariners' 43rd season as well. It wasn't an accident that the Mariners got off to the best start in baseball this year. I thought they'd have a special season better than this, but the Mariners' next win is 68 too. So I like the Athletics to split today and tomorrow. Today it looks better for the Athletics. Mariners get one more win. They'll be at 68 wins. You know what? That's funny. The Mariners would be 68-94. Let me type in Seattle, Washington again. 68-94. if the Mariners split the next two, 68 and 94. Huh. So, that is something else. All right. So, yeah. And A's finishing on 97 wins would make a lot of sense, too. And you know what? If the A's did finish 97 and 65, Oakland Athletics is also 65. So that could make some sense, too. But I got to take the A's today. The pitchers make more sense for an A's win. The head-to-head makes more sense for an A's win. So, again, let's just do it real fast. Ooh, Orioles, a lot of runs in this game. All right, I'm expecting the Red Sox to win today and tomorrow. 39-42 at home. Orioles is 39-42. Just looks too good. Twins and Royals. Game just got started. If the Royals win today, the date numerology is very much on the Royals' side, and the pitcher for the Royals can improve to 5-11. He has a 5-11 birthday, May 11th. Saturn equals 5-11. It's Saturday. So Royals very well could upset the Twins today. I'm expecting the Royals to win one more this year so they can get that 59th win. Kansas City Royals 59. Rays and Blue Jays. I like the Rays today because they can get the 49th away win on the 49 date numerology, and Blue Jays equals 49. Be their 97th win, too. Well, I guess that's not the biggest deal. The Tigers and White Sox games, I'm going to stay away from those today. But just my thought, if Boyd loses, to me it makes a little bit more sense for a Boyd loss today. Getting that 12th loss in Chicago. Chicago and Detroit both equal 37, the 12th prime. He could fall to 4-6 versus the White Sox. Chicago 46. So things do look a little bit better for the White Sox. Lopez getting his 10th win could make a bit of sense as well. Staying on 31 career losses on the 31 date numerology could make sense. The Indians and Nationals, I like the Nationals getting their 49th home win on the 49 date numerology. Washington equals 49. The Dodgers and the Giants, I like the Dodgers becoming 11-7 versus the Giants because Dodgers is 1-7. I like them improving to 5-3 against the Giants in San Francisco because Los Angeles is 53. I like that Ryu can become 7-6 versus the Giants because San Francisco is 76. The Marlins and Phillies, not crazy about this one. I'm leaning Phillies because I think there's a good chance the Marlins get to 106 losses. Philadelphia Phillies 106, Prophecy 106, Philadelphia named from the Book of Prophecy, Revelation. Eflin, though, is what scares me. He could get his 32nd career loss. Marlins is 32, or he could stay on the 31 losses on the 31 date numerology. But Eflin's got a couple things that make me pause. If the Phillies win today, I'm really going to like the Marlins getting that 106th loss tomorrow. The Reds and Pirates. If Sims lost, he'd be 2-6 away. Reds is 26. The Pirates' next win is 70. Cincinnati Reds is 70 in the most pure cipher. So if the Reds didn't win today, they'd stay on 31 wins versus the NL Central, which would set them up to get their 32nd win versus the NL Central tomorrow on the 32 date. Very well could go that way. I'm not crazy about this game just because James Marvel's on the mound and he's been batting practice. So there are some incriminating things going against Lucas Sims, though. Got to acknowledge that. And you know what? I think there's one more thing I could have said about this. Let me double check this. Yeah, PNC Park is 79, the 22nd prime. So I should put that note here too. If Sims lost, he would be 2-2. But you know what? He could improve to 3-1 on the 31-day numerology. So, yeah, there's better games. Again, don't be greedy. You don't got to take them all. Tigers at the White Sox. Again, if Nova wins, he is 12-12. Detroit 37, Chicago 37, the 12th prime. Be a symbolic record to finish the season on. But you look at Nova, he's got some things that could go against him and for him in his other stats. So a little bit of a teeter-totter. The White Sox would have to lose both games today and tomorrow to hit a symbolic number. Detroit does have that 91 connection. Tigers and White Sox both also equal 39. If the White Sox win 2 games out of the 3 that remain, they would get to 39 wins. Let me just put that note down again. If Tigers win 2 of remaining games, they will get to 39 wins at home. Tigers equals 39. White Sox equals 39. Okay, Braves and Mets game. I like how things line up for the pitchers here. Fulty Newix can get to 9-5. Braves is 95. And Motts can get his 37th career loss. Atlanta Braves is 37. The one thing to consider for Motts is you have the 31-date numerology. He could get his 31st career win. But again, I'll take the Gematria over the date numerology. And the Gematria lines up on both sides for the Braves. The Cubs and Cardinals. Things look good for the Cubs today. I mean, Cardinals are playing for playoff position, but the date numerology goes against the Cardinals in 2 ways. They can get the 31st home loss on the 31 date, and they can stay on 49 home wins on the 49 date. Cardinals can become 9-9 versus the Cubs. Cubs equals 9. Chicago can become 3-5 in St. Louis. Chicago 35. And Hamels, things look pretty decent for Hamels. And Wainwright, you can make an argument either way. There's nothing super standout for Wainwright. So I am favoring the Cubbies in this one. Playing for pride, I guess. Yankees, I'm leaning on the thought that they're not going to lose anymore, that they're going to stay on 57 losses en route to the World Series, become 48-33 away. New York's 48-33. So, to me, the Yankees riddle is just about them staying on those 57 losses. World Series 57. The Padres and the D-backs. Same thought as yesterday. I like the Diamondbacks to win yesterday for the same reason I like them to win today. If they win today, they're going to be 6-3 versus the Padres. Padres 63-36. Again, those division head-to-head records, pretty consistent. But do beware, Robbie Ray, who's on the mound. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Robbie Ray's numbers make me a little bit anxious. The game's not in Petco Park. I wish it was, because it could become 13-8. Yeah, I got to stick with the head-to-head record thought. It was the thought that got us the win yesterday in this game. I'm going to stick with that one. I wish Robbie Ray's stats were a little bit different. He can become 6-5 versus the Padres, though, and San Diego Padres is 65. Brewers and Rockies. Again, I'm going to lay off this game. It looks better for the Rockies to me, and because it looks better for the Rockies, that's why I don't want to mess with it, because I'm having trouble believing the Brewers are going to get swept by the Rockies going into the playoffs, even though the riddle is right there and it looks pretty strong. So you can do what you want with that game. It's just, I don't know. To me, it gives me a funny feeling. If Chichi Gonzalez did lose, he would be 3-7 at home. Milwaukee is 37 in the most pure cipher. That's one thing going against the Rockies today. Astros and Angels. I definitely wouldn't bet the Astros because they don't pay anything. Again, with the group of games that I do like, I'd stick together one of those $1 parlays. The games that look solid. Throw the Angels on there as a big multiplier. Bet $1 on it. $1 on a bet like that could, turn into upwards of $50. So, big underdog like that. There is some things there for the Angels today. They got the date numerology on their side. You could make an argument for Verlander to lose. So, it's just, one of the greatest pitchers in the game's going against a guy who might not be in the majors next year. So, That's the problem with that game. And then, again, Athletics Mariners, I'm thinking the A's get it done today. It looks better for the A's pitcher than the Mariners pitcher, that's for sure. The Mariners pitcher makes sense with a loss. The A's pitcher makes sense with a win. And the head-to-head also. Mariners lose today. They're 4-4 at home versus the A's. Seattle 44. So that's the review. Let's take some calls if anybody wants to phone in about anything. And if not, we can take a short break and then come back with the NFL. Maybe give ourselves an hour break to go get some food, some lunch. You know what? I'll just start the NFL live decode at 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 4 Eastern. So we'll go 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern. And should give everyone time to take a little break so we're not doing so much number crunching. And again, here we got a caller here. Caller?
Hey, Zach. So I read that this is supposed to be the Kansas City Royals manager's last game. I was wondering if you saw anything with him
Ned
that would
Yost?
kind of swing us one way. Ned Yost, yeah.
What, he's not going to manage tomorrow? Okay, yeah, let's look at that.
And
Yeah.
just Kansas City took the lead 1-0 in the bottom of the first.
You know what? It makes a lot of sense for... Well, God. Man, it's tricky. If they won their last two games, they would get to 32 home wins. Kansas City's 32. Twins is 32. Kansas City, if you use the rules for S, is also 50, and Twins is also 50. They could get their 50th home loss, but maybe they finish strong with them. Let's measure. I'm going to hang up, and I'll measure from Ned Yost's birthday and see what we see and look at his record.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thanks,
Thank
man. Yeah, no problem. See. Okay, so Ned Yost, born Edgar Frederick Yost III. Let's take a peek at that. 131's the 32nd prime. If they did win today and tomorrow, they would get to those 32 home wins. Kansas City, whoops, let me type it right, is 32. So that stands out. Let me see, is that prime? 347's the 69th prime. No, there's nowhere to hit any 69s. How about just Ned Yost? Whoops. Yost. Ned Yost. The Twins would have to win both games to get to 102 wins. Ned Yost 102. That doesn't seem like the right kind of tribute, though. Caller?
Good morning, Zach.
Hello.
Hi, this is Ron calling from Thousand Oaks. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Well, I just wanted to let you know, with the Cardinals game, I do see some date numerology lining up for the Cardinals. When doing the date numerology, when you fully reduce the day, the month, and the year, I get 13. With that said, the Cardinals can't pick up their 91st win of the season, which is the 13th triangular number.
Right, Chicago Cubs equals 91 too. I am thinking they're going to get that 91st win. So if you fully reduce the date numerology, it should break all the way down to 4, not 13.
Yes. Yeah, you got me there. Yeah, true.
So because tomorrow we'll have a 50 date numerology, right? So tomorrow they could get that 50th home win and the 91st of the season. Chicago Cubs 91. But hey, if you're feeling the Cardinals, by all means, man. I mean, stick with your guns because I do think they're going to win one of the next two. It's just today the date numerology looks a little bit better for the Cubbies to me than the Cardinals.
Okay, right on. Well, Cardinals, they've been a pretty wonky team to bet on, but yeah, totally. You can go either way.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks, Seth.
Take care. See you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah, I'm guessing like he did 7 plus 6, 4 plus 9 because they both break down to 13, and then you would do 1 plus 3, 4 to go all the way. All right, I was looking at this Ned Yost thing. Let me see. August 19th birthday, so the last game's going to be tomorrow. August 19th. Here today. Today's 40 days after his birthday or his 41st day of his age. And so that means tomorrow's 41 days after his 42nd day of his age. Something I was overlooking was the 102. If the Royals didn't lose anymore, they'd stay on 102 losses, huh? Ned Yost is 102. So let me make a note about that. I somehow my eyes. That's why it's always good to have more than one set of eyes looking at. Sometimes I miss things. All right, hold on. Let me plug that in here. That fact about where's the game at? All right. Yost is retiring after this season. Ned Yost equals 102. If Royals did not lose anymore, they would stay on 102 losses. So that could be a little tribute to Ned Yost. If Royals won next two, they would have 32 home wins. Kansas City equals 32, and Twins equals 32 as well. Twins, whoops. Something's wrong with my I key. Almost every time I hit it, it double records. Anyway, Twins 32, Kansas City 32. This computer is only 1 year old, but it has probably 10 years worth of use, literally, based on how much I've been living in front of this thing for the last year. Okay. Okay, so that's the baseball review. If nobody wants to call in, let's take a little break. We'll come back at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern. We'll do our football live stream. Put out the notes last night if you want to revisit that. I'm going to look at it some more in the time being, see if there's anything else that stands out that I overlooked. Admittedly, when I was working on it more yesterday, I was a little bit distracted because I got the news about Mark. And I was really a lot bit distracted, and yeah, so it's really sad that Mark's not here with us. He was a really great member of this community, and I wish I could tell him how much I appreciate him. And I don't know if those words ever came out of my mouth, but I think I must have said that at some point to him, because I really did appreciate him and admire him, and he was a hard worker. I mean, he worked very hard. It was obvious. He did great research, came up with a lot of information, and yeah, man, I just wish I could tell him already how much I miss him, and how much this community is going to miss him, and yeah, so, I mean, I'm not mad at him. Everybody has free will and makes their own choices. But I just think that I imagine that, had he made a different choice, it would have been better in the long run. He had a great mind, and he was helping this movement, and he would have helped it a lot more, and things would have just continued to get better. And the other thing that I don't understand that I got to put out there, and this is the one piece I worry about. There's a company building a website right now, and a few months ago, I asked Mark to build these websites, and he said he would, and I was going to pay him. And I said, "Do you want me to give you the money up front?" And he's like, "No, you can pay me once I'm done with the work." And I said, "Okay, that's great." And I kept checking in with him to see how it was coming along, and he kept saying he was busy and he hadn't started yet. And I said, "Well, it's fine. Just you can do it whenever you want to, and on your own schedule." But after some amount of time went by, I did tell him that I just decided to hire a company to do it, and a part of me is hoping that didn't hurt him. He didn't say that it hurt him, but it's just things you think about now. So, caller.
Hey Zach, how you doing?
Doing well, man.
Hey, how do you like the Giants over LA Dodgers tomorrow? With what's his name going to be going for 10-9?
Well, here's my thought just right off the top. If the Dodgers become 11-7 versus the Giants today, which makes sense because Dodgers is 1-17, becoming 11-8 tomorrow would be a Giants win, and we know that 118 is a big number with San Francisco. That would also make it. Hold on, let me pull up my numbers real quick, so I don't misspeak. But I see
the pitcher is 9-9 right now. He'd be 10-9. That's LA.
Los Angeles is 109. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong day. Hold on, I just want to make sure I got this right. Hold on, almost there. For some reason, I cannot find. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if the Giants lose today, they'll be 3-5. So the Giants could become 4-5 tomorrow, and I know. Ooh, well, that's tricky because Dodgers is 36 and 45. But you're saying the pitcher tomorrow for the Giants could improve to 10-9?
Yeah. And that's, what's his name?
Yeah, on ESPN, it's not showing who pitches tomorrow for the Giants. Who's it showing for you, Bumgarner?
Yeah, Bumgarner.
So you're sure Bumgarner's starting tomorrow?
Yeah, he's 9-9, so he can go 10-9.
Yeah, Los Angeles is, so that would make some sense. Hold on, let me see what his career numbers are, see if it makes sense with the Dodgers. I see. Are you trying to put a parlay together for today and tomorrow?
No, I was just going to bet tomorrow.
Oh, well, we'll do a live stream tomorrow morning, so. Tomorrow, and he can become 10-9 versus Los Angeles. I'll tell you what, tomorrow morning before the game start, I'll get on and look at that, but if he is the starter, that's definitely a narrative. So I'll look at it more tomorrow based on what happens today.
Let me see here. Yeah, it's Bumgarner tomorrow.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's Los Angeles 109 is definitely a pattern, so that could make a lot of sense, and then that would make the series 11-8 if they lost today, and that's another big San Francisco number 118. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Bye.
All right. I'm going to copy and paste these notes. Post them on the Patreon. We'll get back here in a little more than an hour. Give you guys a break. And again, if you can't make it at that time, remember you can always watch the video anytime after. Plus the notes are there. So again, if anybody ever feels like Mark, you got my number. You can reach out. Again, I'm one person to talk to. I really wish. I really wish I could talk to Mark one more time, so we'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Until next time.